Friends, today we shall discuss our first chapter of Geography, class 10th, Resources and Development. So let's start right from our questions. The first question for this chapter is what is a resource? Resource is anything which is available in our environment, which we can use to satisfy our need. Anything which is technologically accessible, economically feasible and culturally acceptable is called a resource. So in short, we can say that anything that satisfies our wants, the wants and the needs of the human beings can be called a resource. Our next question is, what are international resources? International resources are beyond the national boundaries of the countries, and these are the resources which any country cannot use without an international agreement. These are the resources which are outside the exclusive economic zone of the country and that can be used by countries with agreement internationally, that can be called international resources. Our next question is, to what distance do territorial water of India extend? The territorial water of India extend up to 12 nautical miles or 22.2 kilometer from the coastal lines of India. Next question is, where was the first International Earth Summit held? International Earth Summit was one of the landmark summit in the history of environment and it was one of the most important because it was the first summit that created awareness among the people and the leaders of the world that the environment of the earth should be protected. And the first International Earth Summit was held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 1992. Our next question is, what is full form of UNCED? UNCED stands for United Nations Conference on Environment and Development. Our next question is, what is the area brought under cultivation in a year called? The total area that is brought under the cultivation in agriculture is called net sown area. Net sown area is that area under which the crop is sown in the whole country. Next question is, name the most widespread relief features of India. The most widespread relief feature of India is Indo-Gangetic Plain. It is one of the vast northern Indian plain that runs from Punjab to West Bengal near Sundarban. So it's a huge landmass of India. It constitutes 43% of the Indian landmass. So definitely northern Indian plain or Indo-Gangetic Plain is one of the most important most widespread relief feature of India. Our next question is, what is the name of soil formed by intense leaching? Due to intense leaching, the laterite soil is formed. Laterite soil is formed at the places where intense leaching occur. And our next question is, where does laterite soil develop? Laterite soil developed at the places with heavy rainfall and hot climatic conditions. These two conditions leads to leaching, and laterite soil is formed at these places of heavy rainfall and hot and humid climatic conditions. Next question is, what are gullies? Gullies, when the running water cut through the clay soil and creates channels. These channels are called gullies. It's a form of soil erosion. The important particles of the soils drained through these channels and causes the soil erosion. Yes, our next question is, what is a ravine? Ravine is a deep narrow valleys on the surface of earth, and that is caused by running water. When running water causes the deep valley inside the earth, it becomes ravines. Our next question is, what is sheet erosion? Sheet erosion, when the water drains as a sheet down a slope and the topsoil of the land washed away or drained away by water, that is called sheet erosion, and it causes the soil erosion on a very large number. If the soil is uneven and there is a slope on it and water flows down the slope and topsoil is also eroded by water, it is called sheet erosion. Our next question is, what is the special features of sustainable development? The most important feature of sustainable development is that development without damaging the environment. Sustainable development refers to development without compromising the need of the future generation of human beings. That developments in which we makes an equilibrium with the nature, with the environment, that is called a sustainable development. Our next question is, name the 3 states having regular soil and the crop which is mainly grown in it. Regular soil is also known as black soil, cotton soil, and it is found in Deccan Plateau region of India, and the states of Maharashtra, Gujarat, and some parts of Madhya Pradesh have this regular or the black soil. The crop, which is actually the important feature of this crop, is to hold the moisture. This crop has clay or soil rather has the capacity to hold the moisture for a longer duration of time. As a result, it is very good for growing sugarcane, and it's also very good for growing cotton. So mainly cotton is the crop that is grown in the regular soil, and most of the cotton growing area are found in Maharashtra and Gujarat. Next question is, what are biotic and abiotic resources, and some examples of these also. Biotic resources are those which have life, living beings. Living beings, the resources are having the life in it are called the biotic resources, and example can be definitely human beings are biotic resource, livestock, animals, wild animals, forest and natural resources, all these are considered as biotic resources. And abiotic resources are those which don't contain life, they are not the living being, and these resources are the mineral, natural resources, petroleum, coal, metals, and host of others. Our next question is, explain 3 stages of resource planning. The 3 stages of resource planning are surveying, mapping, and measurements of characteristics and properties of resources. And the second important stage of resource planning is examining resources with respects to technology, economy, and need. And the third and the very important stage of the resource planning is matching the resources development plan with overall national developments and the need of the country. Our next question is, indiscriminate use of resources has led to numerous problems, and we have to justify this statement. The indiscriminate use of resources has led to the numerous problems of the human beings, and these problems that is caused by ruthless exploitation of the resources are that these resources are concentrated in a few hands. There are several economical, social and ecological problems that has come due to indiscriminate use of resources. Resources are now being concentrated in a few hands and they are just satisfying the wants and the needs of the few individuals of the country. The important thing for any economic development is that resources should be judicially and equally distributed among all the people of the country, but due to indiscriminate use of these resources, we see a huge gap between rich and poor, a heavy rift between haves and have-nots. And one more important problem that is faced by indiscriminate use of resources is that it has led to severe problems like environmental degradation, global warming, pollution, soil degradation, and host of others. Yes, next question is why does the pattern of net sown area vary from one state to another? As we know that India has varied relief features. The Indian terrain is quite uneven throughout the length and breadth of the country, and accordingly the net sown area is also different from different regions. As we see that there is a huge net sown area in Punjab because of several reasons. One is that it's a plain area, and the second reason is that the green revolution was started in Punjab. As a result, the net sown area in the whole northern Indian plain is very high because of these reasons, whereas the net sown area is almost 10% or less than that in the states of Manipur, Meghalaya, Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, etc., because of rugged terrain and different climatic conditions. The climatic conditions in these regions are not conducive for agriculture, and apart from this, the relief features are quite mountainous and not very conducive for agriculture. So these are some of the factors that led to differentiations in the net sown area of the different region of India. Next question is, explain the role of humans in resources development. The role of the human is of pivotal importance in the development of resources, because all the resources becomes a resource only if they are used by human beings. With the help of their technology, it is the human beings that makes a resource a valuable thing. And definitely there are some regions which have huge or abundant natural resources, but they lag behind in development and advancement, whereas there are several regions where resources are not found in abundance, but humans have technology, they have the capability to utilize the technology in order to extract or utilize the resources and make the development. So development is possible only if human beings makes the natural things usable for other human beings. We can take an example of Japan, for example. Japan is a country where which is not very much abundant in natural and mineral resources, but despite that, Japan is one of the leading industrial country and one of the richest country of the world because of this technological use by the people of Japan. Japanese people utilize the technology and make the resources usable for the people all across the world. So any kind of resource becomes an essential commodity only if human uses their technology and makes it useful. Our next question is, explain the importance of conservation of resources. Conservation of resources are is rather one of the most important requirement of the time, because for development of the country, resources are the most important thing, and overutilization or irrational consumption of resources may lead to several socio-economic and environmental problems. So conservation of these resources are very necessary. Apart from this, these are the resources which has to be utilized by upcoming generations of the human beings. These resources will be utilized by the future generation of the human beings. So if we utilize all these resources at this point only, there will be no surplus left for the upcoming generation of the humans. So in order to sustainable development for the use of upcoming generation, these resources conservation is very necessary. Our next question is, suggest any 6 measures to solve the problem of land degradation in India. In India, land degradation is one of the most important problem. The country faced this problem of land degradation because of several reasons. Land degradation occurs due to several agents, water, wind, etc. So several things can be done in order to stop the land degradation in India, and one of them is contour playing. Contours can be made along the fields, and that can declivate the soil from running or washing away. The second can be the terrace cultivation. The terrace can be cut and steps can be made on the hilly regions, and these can stop the flowing of soil from the land. And the third important is that the strip cropping. In between the crops, strips can be made, and these strips, the grass can be allowed to grow, and they can reduce the force of water and wind. Apart from this, afforestation is also one of the most important factor through which we can control the soil land degradation, and definitely we can control the overgrazing. Overgrazing is also, stopping of overgrazing can also lead to the stoppage of land degradation in India. Apart from this, control of pollution and water management, these things are also very important. Proper discharge of disposal of industrial effluents, industrial waste is also one of the important reason for stopping the land degradation in India. Next question is, what type of soil is found in river deltas of eastern coast? And we have to give 2 main features of this types of soil. In the delta region, deltas are the places where the river makes a triangle shape and then falls into the ocean. When the river flows, it brings along with us very fertile clay soil and deposits it on the head of the ocean, and then the deltas are created. Alluvial soil is the soil that is deposited by rivers along the coastlines, and these soils are a very important source of potash and lime, and it is one of the most fertile soil of the land, and it is very good for growing of sugarcane, paddy, wheat, and host of other crops. It is one of the most fertile soil and is found in this region. Our next question is, distinguish between khadar and bhangar. Alluvial soil is of different types. Alluvial soil is khadar, bhangar, bhabhar and tarai. And out of these four, we have to differentiate between these two, Khadar and Bhangar. Khadar is the new alluvial. When we compare it with the age, if we compare the age, Khadar is the new alluvial, whereas Bhangar is the old alluvial soil. Khadar is very fine and very fertile soil, whereas Bhangar is coarse and not as much fertile as compared to Khadar. Khadar alluvial soil is found in the lower reaches of the river valleys, whereas Bhangar is found on the upper reaches of the river valleys. So these are some of the differentiations between Khadar and Bhangar. Our next question is, mention any three characteristics of the black soil. Earlier we have discussed the prominent areas where black soil is found. Black soil is found in the Deccan Plateau region, and some of the important characteristics of these soil are that black soil is made of clayey material, and it is known for its capacity to hold moisture. And apart from this, black soil is very much rich in several nutrients such as calcium carbonate, magnesium, potash and lime, whereas it is deficient in phosphoric components, constituents. Black soil has the capacity to hold the moisture, and during the summer region there are several cracks in this soil. So right after the first shower, it has to be aerated well, otherwise the working or agriculture work on this soil becomes very difficult. This soil is very sticky and has the capacity to hold the moisture well, and it is very good for growing sugarcane and cotton. Our last question is, distinguish between renewable and non-renewable resources. As we have discussed that resources can be divided into these two categories. Those resources that can be renewed, replenished and recharged. There are some resources which are non-renewable that cannot be renewed at all. So these renewable resources are those resources which can be renewed or replaced by some physical, chemical or mechanical process, whereas non-renewable resources remains for a very longer duration of time. The second important distinction between the two is that these resources remains for a very short period of time. Renewable resources remains such for a short duration of time, whereas these are limited. Non-renewable resources are limited. Their availability is very limited. And the third point is that they are also known as replenishable resources. They can also be replenished, they can also be recharged once again, whereas non-renewable resources are exhaustible resources. And the fourth point is that these resources, that is renewable resources, are divided into continuous and flow, whereas the non-renewable resources are divided into recyclable and non-recyclable resources. So some of the examples of renewable resources are water, wind, forest, wildlife, soil. These are the important examples of renewable resources, whereas non-renewable resources are minerals and fossil fuels.